The Red Spotted Newt is a locally owned independent bookstore located in downtown Hazard, Kentucky, specializing in Appalachian literature from authors such as Silas House, Gurney Norman, and Annette Clapsaddle, among many others. The Newt also offers a full collection of art and gifts, including Little Bubby Child prints and these sweet cards inspired by The Office. Check out their store located at 221 Memorial Drive in Hazard, or shop online through bookshop.org. And be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram at the handle Red Spotted Newt. Hazard Coffee Company is the sole specialty coffee shop in Perry County. Focusing on high-tech, high-quality coffee and espresso, Hazard Coffee Company seeks to cultivate a community environment around coffee. They have a variety of options, including your favorites such as mochas and cold brews, as well as specialties such as the Taxi Alley, always brewed to precise perfection. Stop by their shop located on Main Street in downtown Hazard, or order online for delivery with DoorDash or at hazardcoffeecompany.com.
Hey, Jenny, what's cooking?
You are never going to believe what's cooking tonight, Jonathan.
I know, and you know what's not cooking?
What?
Us.
I know. It's Women's History Month, and we have our very favorite woman chef. I hope none of our other favorite women chefs are listening right now. Kristin Smith from the Wrigley. We're so excited to have you.
Along with our biggest tasting / dishwashing panel ever.
They all come out for us, but get
They're
Kristin
for us.
Smith in here.
Get Kristin in, and here she is, and they're all. and their asses are all here. So,
So
well,
much
welcome.
so that I had to get 2 heads of cabbage.
We're really, really happy to have you here because when we were talking about what we were going to do for the show, and we knew it was March, Women's History Month, and we knew that we wanted to celebrate that, and we thought, you know, let's ask our favorite woman chef, Kristin Smith,
Oh,
because
you
we
guys.
love you and we love the Wrigley, and it's more than just a place to eat. You know, you've created something really special in Eastern Kentucky that just is very near and dear to our hearts during COVID. Do you remember when we had the Brussels sprouts
We were
bandits?
smuggling
Had to smuggle when you
food
weren't
in from the
supposed to go
Wrigley,
anywhere?
and the cops got involved.
Yes, I do.
100%.
When I got
That's
the,
another
the
story.
phone
for
call
another
from the
time.
sheriff
Yeah.
of Hazard.
Yeah.
So we're just really tickled to death to have you here.
Well, I'm tickled to death to be here. Hyman Kitchen is one of my favorite kitchens to cook with, often with the 2 of you guys. So,
And Kristin and her partner Melissa showed up here after the flood and cooked for 2 weeks.
Busted their
Solid.
butts,
few
yeah.
Busted their
weeks,
butts
yeah,
feeding
few
people.
weeks.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, this is the thing about Kristin as a woman chef, and maybe this is true of all chefs, but it's March, Women's History Month. And so I want to celebrate women. Women in the kitchen do so much more than put food on your plate. They feed so much more than your belly and your body, you know?
Yeah.
For women, for most women who love to cook, really it's a way of showing love. It's a tangible prayer for a lot of us, and just really important. And I'm sure that what you're going to cook tonight has some stories about it. So why don't you sort of lay out for us what you're going to cook?
Okay.
Jonathan and I are going to assist.
Well,
We're
and
leaning
I
out.
would also like to say that I'm very proud to say that over half of the chefs in my kitchen at the Wrigley are women. And that's something I've worked very hard to percolate, and it's finally happened, and we have a lot of fun times. But tonight we are doing braised cabbage.
One of my
It
favorites.
has become one of my favorite recipes to make, especially because I kind of switch up the sauces here and there. Tonight we're doing miso glazed, braised cabbage. So you want to jump into it?
Get on
Jump
it.
into
All right.
it.
When are we making cocktails though?
We can at some point.
I need a.
We'll come to the place.
Let's do all the knife work,
Oh,
maybe.
okay, okay.
So
And
we've
then,
got some thick cut bacon here,
oh,
and
sure,
the
we'll get
knife
honest.
that Chef Kristin left at the Hyman Settlement School.
That's a no.
Corey,
That's a knife, as
Corey
they
and
say.
Josh and Viv and Diane
It might be a
safeguarded
little
it.
dull.
You gotta.
No, they had it in like a little shrine. I don't know if you saw it. I think they lit candles at it each
Well,
day.
thanks for holding it back for me. Yeah.
Okay, is this okay? Let's talk about this first. Am I creating a huge faux pas by cutting plastic with this
No,
knife?
I.
It's
do
not
all
like
the
like
time.
people who sew are like, don't cut
No.
paper with my scissors. No, it's
No,
okay.
I slash and cut.
Because
with,
I
Yeah.
do not have good knife skills. It's
As
just-
long as you're getting it sharpened, or you're sharpening it yourself, you know,
Yeah,
fairly
you just
often.
need
then-
it-
About how much of
sharpen
this
every
bacon do I
once in a
want,
honing it.
Chef?
We're going to do half of it.
Okay.
And we're just going to cut it, rough cut it, inch slices.
So about like this?
Yeah, don't overthink it. Yeah, perfect.
So is this a recipe that has been in your family, or is this a dish that you were served?
It's a version of it. All my life, cabbage has been a huge part of the table in many different forms. Braised cabbage particularly is big this time of year because it's been sitting in the root cellar and it's time to get through it, and so you kind of peel out the bad pieces and braise it down and bring out the sweetness of it.
Okay.
So
We want to put this right in the pan?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, oh,
Let's
we
do
might
it.
need to get it going though, right?
Do you want to let that pan get hot before we put it in?
No, it'll get going really quickly.
Okay.
Go ahead and put it in.
And we get to have one of my
Is
favorite
that
smells
half of
on
the
it.
package or did you
That's
do
half of the
whole?
package.
Okay, that's
Any dish that starts with, a half a pound of bacon is okay by me. I'm going to wash your special knife while
Yeah,
you and
that'd be
Jonathan
great.
start cooking now.
all right. Thank you. Tam's gonna sear that down. Make sure the heat there. All
So
right.
now we got the cabbage.
Now we got the cabbage. We're gonna I like to use one of these.
What would you call that? I was wondering if that has a.
I think what I call it is my vegetable cleaver.
Yeah.
I became very fond of cleavers when I lived in China a while back. It's really great tool to cut through, especially chickens if you're breaking chickens down.
That's an awesome
But
cleaver.
also it's a great shovel, right?
Yeah. It looks like I should be holding it in my teeth while I ford a stream, climb a tree.
But yeah. If
So
you
now,
wanna
how
just-
long were you in China?
3 years.
Fun fact, fun little known fact. Kristin Smith was actually on a television show, a Chinese television show, creating a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
If any of our listeners, this is
Yeah.
true, if any of our listeners can find that tape, we will pay you a big
Yeah,
reward.
Yeah, so we're going to do
Kind of a
4
half,
pieces, yep,
4
and then
big
we're going to
pieces.
take the core out as well.
Yep.
I love cabbage.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. The
I'm
first commercial
interested-
kitchen I was in China.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that you said that you are cultivating women chefs in your kitchen, because you know it's interesting to note that in Western culture anyway, cooking's largely been the domain of women,
Yep.
and yet if you look at the industry, women have not
Been there.
really been there. They haven't really been in,
Domestically, but not
domestically, but not
professionally.
And that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think time. I think
Just women weren't in that public sphere.
yeah. I think though they can't. Often if you're working in the kitchen, you're working 12-hour days.
Right.
And a lot of women have families or have other responsibilities like caregiving.
Sure.
And they can't give that time. Or the industry assumes
Right.
that. And assumes if we hire a woman, they won't be able to give the time. They'll end up getting pregnant or
So do you think
can't make it.
Do you think that with women chefs starting to get more secure places in good kitchens across the country, do you think that hiring practice is changing? I mean, clearly it is at
For
the Wrigley.
sure.
Do you think that's happening across the industry?
For sure. I definitely think so. I mean, Blackberry Farm has an executive woman chef, and she's killing it. You're seeing it a lot more. You're seeing Henrietta Red in Nashville, all women in their kitchen.
Really?
So you're seeing it a whole lot more, and I think the James Beard Foundation are starting to award more women chefs, and it's equalizing.
I
and
hope
it's
so.
exciting. Yeah, because it's not like sports.
Right.
Like it's not like certain sports.
Right.
That there's like an advantage.
Yeah.
Because of.
But for a long time in professional kitchens,
What?
I mean, it's been a very bro space, I would say. A very very misogynistic space, I would
Yeah.
say. Very, kind of, it's just been a hard place to work for really anybody. But
It is.
it's, and I think that a lot of your Susan Spicer in New Orleans is
Yep.
one of the ones who really
Yeah.
pioneered. She said, "We're just not going to do that. We don't yell in our kitchen. We don't yell. We're civil." And I think that's been a big change. I think you've seen a lot of that throughout the industry.
Yeah, and especially for me, not really coming from the industry and knowing the baggage of it just doesn't fly in my kitchen. And so when we have folks come in that's been in other toxic kitchens, I'm like, oh no, like we don't do that. We don't bully. We don't. It's not encouraging.
Yeah.
To throw things in my direction, your direction. I'm not going to do it to you. You don't do it to me. So
The
anyways.
bacon is smelling amazing.
Hey,
Yeah,
how's the
that's
bacon?
I'm
working.
going to move this bowl over there so that we can put it in. You tell me when you need a bowl, Tam, to lift the bacon out.
It's
Okay,
it's
so
gonna
now,
be-
how is this as much as this gets cut?
yeah,
You braise it in big quarters?
Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
I like it in big sections. You want to have a nice plain so that it sears really nicely.
Ooh.
You sear both sides. Yeah, this one could be cut a little bit. Yeah, but it's not the best thing. This is kind of like rustic cooking. It's not overthinking. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You just want a nice side to sear really hard. You don't want to be afraid of anything burnt. To me, a heavy sear is where caramelization and magic happens. But yeah.
The frugal gourmet used to say, carbon makes it tasty.
Yes, exactly.
I have to agree with that.
Are we getting any sear finally over there?
We're finally getting there, yeah.
All right.
So, Jonathan, what are some of your other favorite women chefs?
Maybe a little more.
I mean, you can't not talk about Wita Michael, who is who is now working with the State Department, apparently. Some sort of culinary corps with the James Beard Foundation. I mean, you think somebody is as big a badass as you could possibly be, and then you see her standing there next to the Secretary of State, going off on some, so a diplomat now. And I feel better about the country knowing that this is, knowing that this is true. But I mean, she's basically, the Central Kentucky chef scene is just sort of the Weta Michael, expanded universe at this point. So she's somebody you can't really argue with. Manit Chauhan, who just had dinner at your place, and I had lunch at her place at her restaurant just the other day.
Where is her restaurant?
In Nashville. She's Chauhan Ale House, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's really sort of she's really sort of married Southern and Indian food together very well. I had a hot chicken pakora sandwich, which was really, and she's all over the Food Network. You can't miss her there.
Shauna Bailey.
Including
Have y'all eaten at the Gray in Savannah?
No, but I've heard the name.
Incredible chef. She started with Gabrielle Hamilton at the Taproom, and she partnered and started her own restaurant called The Gray. And it's an old Greyhound station.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And
That sounds amazing.
everything about it is beautiful in Savannah.
I just want to travel around with either or both of you. Eat places.
Every time we get together, we're like, let's plan to, we got to start doing, because I think when we get together, we're unstoppable. I think one of these days, if we just went and did a weekend somewhere, they would like clear the city out for us.
I'm super excited because I'm going to New Orleans next week, and I've been getting recommendations
We're going to leave
from
it
both
in there.
Kristin and Melissa and Jonathan about where to go there. So
And it's hard to go wrong, so you're gonna do fine.
that's what I figure.
Yeah.
So, famous chefs aside, who are some women in your life that have influenced?
I mean, I have to talk about my mom, who,
Sure.
It impresses me more and more with each passing year that, she taught school and then came home and got supper on the table every single
Really?
night. And now that I've got a very stressful job at this point, and get home and I'm completely out of energy. And I know that, it's something that you take for granted when you're young, and it's easy to kind of look at it as just what happens. It's just the thing that happens. But that's something that impresses me more and more, all the time.
My mom had supper on the table. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she had supper on the table every night. She hated to cook. And when she married my dad, she said she could make steak and brownies, and that was it. So my dad taught her how to cook. My dad, that's pretty much, right? Steak, brownies, and a stiff drink. But
Yeah.
my dad loved to cook, and he was very, loved to explore things. And I've said many times before that I'm really sorry that my dad died before you moved into the neighborhood right across from where I grew up, because you all would have had like cold smoke houses built, and it would have just been insane. But when I think about women who have influenced the way I think about food, I think about my mom and the fact that she hated to cook, but she still put this beautiful meal out every night. And she tended to be very somebody asked one time, "Are y'all Catholic? Because you have fish every Friday." We were not. We were part of this thing from Catholic. So she was, maybe formulaic, but she understood the importance of putting a meal on the table. And what I really think I picked up from my mom was that she really understood the importance of having a beautifully served meal.
Yes.
We never had containers on the table. We always ate on the spode with the silver. And it wasn't because that was fancy. It was because it was pretty, And I'm really happy that my daughter seems to have somehow, she makes the most beautiful, even if she's just making a little snack for herself. She's really, and I don't think I've taught her this, I think she's just like
She just
that.
picked it up.
She's just very intentional about making sure that the plate's pretty. They say we eat with our eyes first.
Yeah, totally.
And I,
For my family and my
on
mother.
this show, we like to say you eat with your ears first. But now you can also see it.
Right.
For your family, what now?
For my family, my mother, my grandmother, all my aunts, it was a sacred time. Like, you prepared the meal, and it's a note to all that time, and then the presentation. It's a moment where we all come together after the busy day, and we can talk. We sit, no hats, shirts had to be at the table.
No TV.
No TV. There was no TV in the kitchen. And it was an hour that we all just talked.
Yeah.
And I really miss that, actually.
Yeah. I'm really ashamed that my children and I tend to sit on the couch and watch
Yeah.
on our laptop while we eat. I feel like I've let my mother down.
It might
real
just
bad.
be Melissa and I, but we do that. And
That's
it's
really
a
beautiful.
moment that we I think it's sacred for us too.
Yeah.
And when my family finally can all come together, which Thanksgiving is usually that meal,
Yeah.
it's very sacred and
epic,
important.
I
Yeah.
love that.
All
All right,
right.
let's get a
Get some
braise on
cabbage.
this cabbage. Let's get over here and see how this looks.
Let's get it.
All right. Got some pretty fond in there.
Definitely
That's gonna
some
get
pretty
tasty.
fond.
As fond as all that. That's the fancy French word for the stuff left in the pot.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and sear it in right here.
Listen to that.
Put it right in with my hand. Thank you, Tam.
You are very welcome.
And just with the cut pieces.
And those
Look
cut
at-
sides down so they got that nice flat surface
Yeah.
to get a good get some good
Sear.
brown on.
That's beautiful.
I like to use my hands as much as possible. Sometimes I get burnt in right there, but
Because why? You just like to be one with your
I
food?
do. I taste with my hands often.
When we used to do this show at Applesauce, we would talk about my silver tasting spoon, which was really my finger. But now that I'm actually on camera, I feel like I can't do that.
So much.
People will email us. They really will if we do things
All
like that.
4 of our viewers.
Yeah. That's looking
So
pretty.
I cook cabbage all the time, and I've never seared it like this in big chunks, and I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, you want to get both sides or as high as you can possibly. I've got it pretty high here. Medium high.
Is there a trick to keep it from falling apart?
A little bit. That's kind of why I like to do it with my hands.
Because you can sort of hold it together.
Yeah, but just serving. I'm just looking to see where we're at. If
you
you
want it
were
to
working
get-
on the rondo,
You
I
want it
wasn't
to
sure.
get pretty
Super
pretty
hard
crispy.
sear.
Okay.
Almost black.
All right.
Yeah.
Carbon makes it tasty.
Yeah.
Now we're it's a good time for a break.
time
if
for a
we wanna
break, yeah.
Do that, and we may have another guest joining us here
may.
in just a minute.
Woo!
So you're watching What's Cooking Now, coming to you from the Hyndman Settlement School. We're cooking with Kristin Smith. It's Women's History Month, and we're talking about women and being in the kitchen. So
And we appreciate the Hyman Settlement School and
the Kentucky Humanities Council and everybody
Humanities Council
who
and our
supports
great
us,
crew.
and you. So come on back
Don't go
in a few
away.
minutes. We'll be right back.
Take your pointer finger, and I want you to mash down all the blue dots
All the
with
blue
one
dots?
finger.
Okay.
Just one finger. Yeah. And hold it flat.
Anything?
Hold it flat so you cover up all the strings.
Our Pick and Bow program is more than just music lessons. It's a way for young people to express themselves through music. Our wonderful team of music teachers seek to empower students to develop their own unique voice through music. Learning to play an instrument is often not an easy task. It's hard work, but it teaches valuable life skills like collaboration, active listening, and creative problem solving. And when young people are given the tools to be successful at something difficult, the confidence that emerges from that serves them in every area of their life. Bluegrass and traditional music is often played in group settings. And we believe this is really important because it helps young people connect with themselves and with others in their community and see their role in a group. And how do you add to the group sound, and how do you listen to what's going on around you and add to it? And because we focus on teaching traditional Appalachian instruments and songs, young folks are not only learning about Appalachian music, but they are actively participating in the rich musical traditions of Appalachia and Eastern Kentucky and claiming it as their own.
The Red Spotted Newt is a locally owned independent bookstore located in downtown Hazard, Kentucky, specializing in Appalachian literature from authors such as Silas House, Gurney Norman, and Annette Clapsaddle, among many others. The Newt also offers a full collection of art and gifts, including Little Bubby Child prints and these sweet cards inspired by The Office. Check out their store located at 221 Memorial Drive in Hazard, or shop online through bookshop.org. And be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram at the handle Red Spotted Newt.
And we're back.
We're back.
So while Tam babysits the cabbage, which is getting a really dark sear, like we want it dark brown on those cut edges, Kristen's going to talk a little cornbread.
So I brought from my kitchen something dear to my heart that my grandma gave me, our little corn pone bread. pans.
I love these.
It was a special occasion when she brought these out, which was every Sunday. And particularly I love this one because it was crustier.
How do you keep it from running over the
You
edge?
don't put as much.
So that was
this
like a,
one's
that was
always
like a little
crisp.
cracker.
That's the yeah.
That's the best part.
That's the
We
bad.
all kind of fought out over that one.
I bet you won.
So, most importantly with cornbread
We get
pans,
those hot.
we
Get 'em
gotta
hot.
get them hot. So we gotta go
Smoking
ahead
hot.
and put them in there.
My boyfriend says I start every recipe with get a cast iron skillet, smoking hot.
Get it smoking
Why wouldn't
hot.
you?
I got a little bit of cornmeal here.
Now, you know, people fight about their cornbread recipes.
Yeah.
So tell me what your sugar, flour.
What my Theos is, yes, I do put
Where's-
sugar in it.
We have buttermilk. Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. It just has a blue lid, but it's still buttermilk.
Yep.
So you
They're
put
gonna
sugar in.
they're gonna
do you
take
put
away your
flour in?
Appalachian certificate for that. You know?
I do tend to put a little skiff of flour in it, which I don't have right here, so we might
We
need
can
a
get
little
you a
bit.
little.
The
skip.
ghost of Ronnie Lundy is gonna pop up out of someplace in like.
And you know, when she came out with her
Who is-
cookbook, first recipe I went to was her cornbread recipe, and it was exactly the same as my grandmother's. Yeah.
You know, I just feel like there are as many different kinds of cornbreads as there are
There is.
women
It's a-
in the kitchen.
it's a big-
And
beautiful
I don't
world.
think there's one way better than the other.
We can all fit under the cornbread tent.
I've
Yeah.
not found cornbread I didn't like.
Yeah,
Same.
it's a big beautiful world.
But a lot of people are against putting sugar in it. I put a little bit of sugar to balance the soda and powder.
So about how much? What's a define skiff for me? Just a little cupful. I'll get you some flour.
Yeah, it's like a fourth a cup.
Okay, I'll grab you some.
So, here we go. So I'm measuring here. Normally when I'm at home, I don't really measure much.
I don't trust myself otherwise.
I just do it by feel. That's how I do my biscuits too. But we're going to do
Yeah.
2 cups of cornmeal. There we go. And then
One of my students, I always have my students write about food because I'm the teacher and I can make them write about whatever I want to read about. And
Go ahead
one
and
of my
dump that in
students
there.
was writing about her granny teaching her to cook. And she said her granny always measured stuff with her hands. But she was a little girl and her hands were smaller. So she just painted this really beautiful picture of herself with her little tiny. She said I would have to have 2 handfuls to get what granny had. It was real sweet.
That is sweet.
I know, I thought so too. It's good paper. She got an A.
Yeah, and I always, of course you got an A. I do see my grandmother's hands, my mother's hands, as I think Crystal Wilkelson puts it best of saying, you know, we cook with our ghost, the ghost in the kitchen.
And she has like her grandmother's dress hanging in her
Does
kitchen,
she?
right? Yeah, I think, is that, Crystal Wilkinson's probably not listening, but I'm pretty sure I feel like she's said that before. That
I
she
love
keeps it
that.
hanging in her kitchen, yeah.
So we do 2 half teaspoons of each of the soda and the powder. A teaspoon, just a little bit of salt. Now I do measure that.
Now, one of the things that my
I like to use
father taught my
common.
mother to make cornbread. So when I think about cornbread, I think about my daddy and not my mother. But my mother did it often.
I love
but,
it.
But one of the things that both of them did, they loved Lowry's seasoned salt, and they would put that Lowry seasoned salt in the cornbread, and
I'm gonna have
it
to
gives it
try
a little twist.
Yeah, I'm
and
not
that's
mad about it.
Little
My
twist.
standard cornbread has Lowry seasoned salt. It's got to be Lowry's. It can't be some other brand.
I will have to try that.
100%.
So I use a fork typically,
Sure.
even at the restaurant, because it just I feel like kind of sifts it real good.
And that cornmeal looks pretty finely ground.
It is finally. It's not my favorite. It's just what I had at the Wrigley.
Sure.
I thought I had some Bloody Butcher, but it was actually Bloody Butcher grits. I was like, ah.
That's a little much.
Yeah.
So these
Where did these
beautiful
come
eggs
from?
came from our good friends Lindsay and Andy, the Happy Hens, who
Oh, I
have
love that.
Happy Hens Homestead over in Booneville, and they are part of a. I love. Since we're talking about women in the kitchen, let's talk about women in the field, because that's
Yes.
where we're getting our food, right? And I love these women. So they call themselves the Cow Creek Heifers. They live along Cow
Oh my
Creek.
gosh, I love this.
They live along Cow Creek in Booneville, and they there are. Rhonda and Anna, so these are separate farms. Rhonda and her family, Rhonda Becknell, they have a farm. Anna Gabbard has a farm. And then Lindsay and Andy have a farm. And then they have a new heifer who we're super excited about. Mandy Lindbergh, who is a dairy farmer, and we're really hoping that she's going to be able to work it out to maybe do some herd shares and get some dairy and
This
stuff.
is awesome.
We're super
That'd be
excited
nice.
for that. They're just really great people, and I love just seeing this kind of, they're not a formal collective, but they are a collective. You know, they work in concert with one another and support each other, and we just love them. We're at the East Kentucky Farmers Conference this past weekend, and I bet I'm just off the top of my head going to say maybe more than half the people there were women, I think, and so many powerful women in agriculture and in food. It's a great time to be thinking about food right now, you know, and careers in food and careers in agriculture.
Well, and I feel like a lot of the small farms are women-led.
Yeah, yeah, I think they are. I mean, I think Jonathan probably can pull up that off the top of his head because that's what he does, but I cannot. But yeah, I think statistically speaking,
So
that's
could
true.
Melissa Bond over
That's
here.
true, Melissa Bond, isn't it? So, what kind of texture? My daddy always said you want it to crawl out of the bowl,
Yeah.
not necessarily pour.
And that's where I don't.
And it's different with different cornmeal because
Yeah.
different cornmeal absorbs liquid
And this
differently.
one's absorbing very
and you
quickly.
really have to know what you want it to look
And
like.
to me, this is a little too much cementy for me.
Yeah.
So
And you can keep stirring it like this because it's got because it doesn't have a whole lot of flour in it.
Right. Yeah. So it's not going to
So
develop the
it's
gluten.
not going to develop that gluten. So
Right.
just like when you're making muffins or pancakes, you just want to stir maybe 10 times and be done. But because cornmeal doesn't have gluten in it, so.
But
it
also,
doesn't
we're
get
getting
yummy.
ready to add a little bit of butter in here. So that will add a little bit.
So do you put butter in your pans?
I do.
Yeah.
And
let it get hot,
And
yeah.
so half of it I'll dip in here.
Do you ever do butter with? Do you ever do cornbread with lard instead of butter?
I do. If
Yeah.
I have it on hand,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love
It does
both.
get hotter faster.
I love both. You know, I love the.
How are we
flavors of
doing
both.
over here?
We are about ready to drop down and start braiding.
Let's get, yeah, that's great if we can get all of them almost look like that.
This looks beautiful.
So-
Oh, look at that. That looks beautiful.
I'm gonna pull these pans out real quick.
Do you need more?
We got big black gloves.
Yeah,
so,
it'll be safer, won't it?
Yeah.
Cast iron's pretty
Let's not
hard.
hurt ourselves here at the Hyndman Settlement School.
I mean,
I'm
I
not
know you
left-handed.
chefs have.
We got to write it too.
Yeah, let's go, Ryan.
You chefs have hands of steel.
Steel.
Teflon.
Asbestos hands.
Yeah, I'm not real comfortable with these kind of.
So, is there a story behind how that pan got the edge broken off?
I think it's been like that for a hot minute.
You
I have no
You and
idea.
your brother didn't like get in a fight or something?
No, it was like
Swing it at
that
each
all my
other?
life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
Hand me
it's
that
great.
So
knife
you've
over
got
here.
these smoking hot,
Right here.
That knife.
and you're
The smaller one. Sorry, I might.
the cleaver.
Here, yeah.
Okay. The all-purpose cleaver.
The all-purpose. Yep. So I'm gonna Let's pinch some butter in there.
Like
Don't.
that matter.
A little bit more than that. Whoops, sorry. Pinch it, pinch it.
Because we want it hot. We want to keep
Oh,
this
yeah.
pan hot because we want it to sizzle when
That's
it
right. You
hits.
see that sizzle?
You don't look at this little one.
Oh, yeah, just
the
a
crunchy
tad.
corner.
Let's get it. Yep. We got it all right.
Okay. Yep.
Good.
While no one's watching, I'm going to lick the butter off my finger.
I can't do those.
You're
At
not
all.
a bit much.
I
All right,
love
I'm gonna
butter.
put it right back in here just for a hot second. How's that butter? It is salted butter.
Listen, I love salt, and I love salted butter.
We're gonna let that stay hot.
I'll go wash my hands carefully before I touch any of the other food. Don't worry. I used to say when we were at Apple
I don't think our
shopping,
tasters really care.
and no one
No.
could see me, and I would lick my finger and then touch the food. I would say it's like I'm
Yeah, we get
kissing
emails.
you.
Ah,
It's like I'm kissing you.
food is love.
Food,
We'll- we'll
food is
kiss
love,
this.
and love tastes delicious. That's our.
That's our motto.
We
That's
don't
what I'm
do
saying.
that at the Wrigley.
Here on
No,
the
no,
show.
not it.
Yep.
All right.
So that is some
hot, it's a little bit
cornbread.
brown.
Hot, 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 hot. And I have to say, this is extremely important to do if you're making cornbread. This is the only thing you could do wrong if you don't do this. And you're going to put half of that in there.
Okay.
Woo. How are we doing?
This is a lot easier to do when you're doing it like with a, do you want this? It's a lot easier
just
to do when
doubling
you're
it.
doing it with a big pan, right? Here. You know? It's just a lot easier,
Yeah, these are a little harder to do.
but worth it. So worth it. Oven mitts are so unwieldy.
Yeah, they're just one.
Oh, lobster.
Well, there's
There
a
you
bunch
go.
more towels in there we could go get.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
All right,
this is going to
ooh.
be good.
All right.
Now you're going to stir it real fast.
Stir, stir, stir.
Works
Or you
out.
can
This
stir
is one of
it.
those good
Slightly-
two-person jobs if
I
you
mean,
can do
the
it.
smell of this. that
Brown butter. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. I wish y'all could smell it.
They can. We have, this is smell-o-vision.
Oh,
actually. So,
smell-o-vision.
yeah.
And
All right.
then let's ladle this
spoon
in
it
there.
in.
Yeah, and you gotta kind of work fast
Because you want your pan to
because
stay.
you gotta keep your pans.
Is there anything I can do to assist you?
Yeah, I'm gonna switch.
Here, let me use, can I use this?
Yep, and you get the others. Yep.
Is that overfilling?
No, 3/4. My grandma never worked fast. She was just steady, but this is when she did.
Will this sort of spread out by itself?
It will. We're gonna shake it a little bit.
Okay. Ooh, I like shaking it a little bit.
Beep, beep, beep. Just a little bit there.
All right, pretty good.
Is that all we need? Is that good?
Yep.
Perfect.
I'm just gonna.
And you don't want to move it too much because we want the part of the having the pan so hot, right?
Oh,
is
yeah.
So that it's getting like a little crust.
Just do that right there. Right there.
Perfect.
Yes.
There it is.
Ow!
Nice.
I love it.
Nice.
I absolutely love it. That made me thirsty.
Totally made me thirsty.
You reckon we can
Is
get
it-
a cocktail
You think
out
it's
of
getting to be
it
about
now?
that time?
I think it is.
Let me bring my setup up here. So,
All right. Well,
So-
real quick, can
Go
we
ahead.
finish
Let's
that
do
and put
this.
that in the oven?
yes.
We maybe should do this real quick and then take our second break and then come back for the cocktail.
Come back for the
Is that
cocktail.
okay?
That'll work.
Let's
Tim
do that.
says it's ready. Yeah, that looks great.
So
And we've
look,
got a
at,
little
look
bit
at
of-
that browning. So what do you have here?
We got a little bit of chicken
A
broth.
little bit of chicken broth, okay.
So we're gonna bring that fondant up a little bit and pour that all in. Woo! Look at that.
Oh, wow. That smells amazing.
And then another thing I like to do, just shake it up a little bit.
Just so that you're getting the broth
Yep.
underneath the...
Get it up a little bit. And then
You gonna put the
yep.
bacon back in first, or
Nope.
nope, not gonna do that
So,
yet.
You don't want your bacon to get soggy after you crisp it.
True.
We're gonna cap that a little bit
Okay.
here. And we're gonna put it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Give me that, yeah. Those damn things.
when you come past me, I'll open the oven door. It'll be like a beautiful choreographed dance. Are we ready?
Ta-da! Just like
Yeah.
that, put it to sleep for 20 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
Now,
You're watching.
we're
well,
watching What's Cooking Now. We're going to take a short break. When you come
break
back,
when we
we're
come
going to have
back.
a delicious cocktail. This one's going to be exciting.
Yep, we're gonna do the hanky panky when we get back on What's Cooking Now here from Hyndman Settlement School, where food is love and love is
tastes
delicious. See you in a minute.
Hazard Coffee Company is the sole specialty coffee shop in Perry County. Focusing on high-tech, high-quality coffee and espresso, Hazard Coffee Company seeks to cultivate a community environment around coffee. They have a variety of options, including your favorites such as mochas and cold brews, as well as specialties such as the Taxi Alley, always brewed to precise perfection. Stop by their shop located on Main Street in downtown Hazard, or order online for delivery with DoorDash or at hazardcoffeecompany.com. The Red Spotted Newt is a locally owned independent bookstore located in downtown Hazard, Kentucky, specializing in Appalachian literature from authors such as Silas House, Gurney Norman, and Annette Clapsaddle, among many others. The Newt also offers a full collection of art and gifts, including Little Bubby Child prints and these sweet cards inspired by The Office. Check out their store located at 221 Memorial Drive in Hazard, or shop online through bookshop.org. And be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram at the handle Red Spotted Newt.
I'm not gonna be as
And we're
fast,
back.
I think.
And we're back already. And again,
It's
you're
my
watching What's
favorite
Cooking
part
Now.
of the show.
We got, we're making cocktails. Where's my bar spoon?
And when we say we're making cocktails, we mean Jonathan's
Is it in the
making
bag?
cocktails.
No,
No,
It's
it's right here.
always the best.
All right, so when I was thinking women in cocktails, I was thinking, that cocktails have always been, at least a long time ago, were a very masculine space. So even though a lot of people who innovated cocktails were women, a lot of them got lost to history because they just weren't because men came along and grabbed the glory. One of the first famous female bartenders was a woman named Ada Coleman. They called her Coley. All of her extensive fan base called her Coley. She was at the Savoy Hotel in London at the American Bar.
Oh.
And if you were anybody, if you were literally anybody, then you got to know Coley pretty well. Mark Twain would drink there whenever he was in town. Charlie Chaplin, Marlene Dietrich, you name it.
I love that.
But there was an actor who she was fond of, who liked to perform, who after performances would come in, and one day he said, I'm thirsty. I need a new drink, and she made this drink for him. And he said the most 1920s thing I can imagine saying, which was, "By Jove, that's the real hanky-panky."
I'm going to start saying that
I love me some
all the
hanky-panky.
time.
And
love me some hanky-panky.
so the hanky-panky was born. So this is a variation on a cocktail that Jenny and I have definitely talked about before and have enjoyed before, which is the Martinez, which is the kind of like the martini is gin and dry vermouth. The Martinez is gin and sweet or red vermouth, and it's in a much bigger concentration. Whereas in a martini you may not have a whole lot of vermouth in it at all if you're going to go that crazy and dry. But here it's equal parts. So I'm making got enough gin for about 3.5 years.
Melissa and Kristen and you and I were saying this is one of our favorite gins, aviation gin.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorites because the aviation cocktail, which I'm sure I've made on this or another show at some point, is one of my favorites. But I just haven't.
We could have just a cocktail show.
We should at some point.
In for that.
Seriously.
Now what makes this special and what makes this is something called Fernet Branca, which is now Fernet is the type of liquor. Branca is a brand name. This is one of those aperitivos or digestives, Amari that so.
Is this an Amari?
I think it would probably count.
You
as an
know who
aperitivo.
introduced me to Amari? Kristin Smith,
Yeah.
chef from the Wrigley, and Melissa, her wife.
And whenever we have
we met by chance. We were in Charleston, and I posted something on Facebook, and they were like, "Oh my God!" And then they showed up at the restaurant where we were, and we all ate oysters.
So you can.
That's the northern Italian.
Yeah, it's a very northern
Amari.
Italian Amari. It's and again, it's
very
one of those.
bitter. I like
it's one of those
that.
27 herbs and spices things.
Oh, that's so good.
That. And how much of this do you add? It depends on who you ask.
It's like licking a pine tree.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Not a whole lot. You don't add a whole lot
I
of
want to
this.
drink it as an aperitif.
I think in a cocktail, yes.
I'd probably. Yeah. I mean, to me,
What
it's
other cocktails is it used in?
There's
And
a.
aftershave.
It's better than that. I like bitter things. I like it.
Now,
I
so
think with some citrus, I'm liking this.
now this is a modern addition. The original hanky panky was just this. What people have added since is a little dash of orange juice, and it balances that.
I can
Fernet
see
just
how
a
that
touch.
would balance that piney
So-
aftershave.
The piney, and then we're going to add
I like it. I like
again
bitter flavors though.
more ice than you think to your schmancy mixing glass.
That's a beautiful
That's a
mixing
beautiful
glass,
mixing
too.
glass.
Yeah,
I like it.
Jonathan and Tamara have beautiful bar accoutrements.
they do.
And then you want to stir as quietly as humanly possible around the edge of the.
And why is that? There's a reason.
It's
for this.
because if you make all the noise, then you're melting ice. Then you're thinning out
Whenever
the
I'm
drink.
in a bar and I see somebody shaking over their shoulder, I have to resist the urge to video them and send it to Jonathan and say, "Look, they're doing it right."
So you do this until the outside of the glass is nice and cold, and then add in your strainer. And I'm going to strain this into my waiting
That's a
cocktail
big
glasses.
mixing glass, too.
Isn't
I
that
don't
pretty?
know if I've seen
He's
many
got
that
a
big.
large group of friends he has to mix for.
And
You look like you've done this before.
once or twice.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
And then I'm going to top that with a little bit of an orange. Just twist it, get those oils released, kind of rub it around, and then drop it in.
This is pretty too.
Again, twist.
I think part of the fun of
Rub it around.
cocktails is just having a pretty glass, you know?
I love coops.
Yep.
I do too.
Cheers.
All right, cheers, Slancha,
Cheers.
Slancha.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm tickled to death to be here.
Mmm.
So yeah,
Oh, that's so good.
yeah, that bitter really kind of jumps up at you.
And that little
Yeah.
bit of orange. This is a hanky panky.
That's delicious.
That is
Jonathan.
delicious.
Johnny.
If I drink too many
Stop
of these,
trying to make Johnny happen.
Johnny. Oh, it's happening. Johnny's happening. If I drink too many of these, I would be definitely into some hanky panky.
All right. So what's next other than let's pour? I'm going to pour out some of these for the
what Kristen's going to make
panel.
next that I'm super excited about is dukkha. And I first learned about this. I'm in a Facebook group called Pot Liquor and Other Vittles.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's a really fun group of people, and I'm very inspired by it often. We were talking about who inspires us. And somebody, I think it was Jean Marie Hibbard maybe, somebody said, and I was like, oh, what's that? And she told me a little bit, and I Googled, and I was like, that sounds right up my alley. And I made some with pistachios.
Oh, yeah.
And just started
Very
kind of reading about it.
traditional, yeah.
And it's one of those things that is so simple.
Yes.
I felt that way when I first made, what's it called, with like the sesame seeds and the seaweed and the, that you put on Asian dishes.
Starts with a K, right?
It'll come to us in a minute. Like it's usually bonito flakes.
Furikake.
Yes, furikake. When I first discovered furikake, I was like, how have I lived my whole life without this? It's so simple, it's so easy to make, and it totally transforms like 99-cent ramen packets.
Yeah.
And I feel this way about dukkha too, so tell us about it.
It originates in Egypt. It's, I think, came from Egypt. I actually just looked it up right before to make sure we were going to say it right.
Right.
It's actually dukkha.
If anybody's around.
Dukkha.
I mispronounce a lot of things.
Well, I've been going back and forth, so I wanted to make sure we got it right. And it's become one of my favorite garnishes to add like a little bit of crunch and like pop to things.
And just kind of a little umami, and then that
Yes.
that cumin comes through, and it's good on
Pretty much not your-
all the things.
Yeah.
And you can make a batch of it and just sprinkle things all day long, or all week, or all month.
Yes. Yes,
So
I love
what
it.
I've decided to kind of Appalachianize it is my favorite nut in Appalachia is pecan. We have several pecan trees on the farm. Last year's didn't come through, so we got Stuckies. Thanking the
They're famous for their pecans.
they are, and it came from a church fundraiser.
I love
Methodist church fundraiser.
Now that's a fundraiser I could get behind. Quit
Right?
trying to sell me candles
Yeah.
and wrapping paper.
Every year
I
they-
will buy the hell out of some pecans if you do that as a fundraiser.
Every year they
Nuts.
come
So
around.
you've got your pecans over here toasting.
So I got the pecans over here, toasting a little bit.
Now, my tip for you: never toast all of the nuts you have,
Yeah.
because you will probably burn some.
Yeah.
That's
burn
an
them if
Annie
you do
Williams
that.
tip for sure. My
Yeah.
sister burns more nuts than I'm not going to finish that. It's a family-friendly show. She once set a tray of pine nuts on fire in a historic building. I can't remember, someplace in Grants
For
Park in
real?
Lexington for a wedding, and the caretaker was losing
Sounds
his
about right.
mind. I know.
She set them on.
She left them in the. Listen, I mean, I'm not acting like Annie's the only one that does it, but we're real bad about putting stuff in the oven and getting a little distracted and walking off. Yeah, she had them in the oven, and she opened it, and there was fire, and the smoke alarms went off, and the fire alarms, and the caretaker was, and she was like, it's fine, and she just took them and threw them out in the yard.
That is the most Annie
Okay, so
story
what
I've
else
ever
is
heard.
going in there?
So we've
Whole
got
cumin seeds.
we got whole cumin, we've got whole fennel. It adds a little sweetness and a little licorice. We've got a tablespoon of each of those, and then tablespoons of benet seeds or sesame seeds, as you
And you've got black and white ones.
black and white ones, because that's just what
Let's
I
call
have.
them benet seeds because I'm going to New Orleans next week.
Yeah, let's do that. 'Cause they grow them down there,
Yeah.
and then we have coriander as well. Ooh, it's fresh, sweet.
So when I was reading about this, it's really, there's no one recipe. It's
No.
really one of those things that you can kind of change and alter to suit your own flavor profile or whatever you're going to put it on. And it's just so good.
It is. It's delicious.
I mean, I really realized that it's simple and that people have been doing it for centuries, but like discovering it, felt like I've put it on everything since
Well,
then.
often, like, we'll just use one of these ingredients, right, to kind of.
I think the batch I made, and I've
Season
only made one
something.
batch. I think the batch I made, I did pistachios, I did cumin seeds, I didn't do fennel,
Okay.
I had some coriander for sure. I can't remember what else I put in mine, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
I was telling Kristin a couple of shows ago I made a savory cream of wheat, which my sister was like, you make cream of wheat? Of all the things you could make, you make cream of wheat. But it's so good. I love it. It's just delicious. And it was another one of those things. It was kind of a revelation to me. You know, I hadn't thought about cooking it that way. And
Let's
I
check
made,
the cornbread,
I made,
sorry.
oh yeah, I
Good.
made cream of wheat, and then I put and duck on it, and it was so good. Is it done?
Yeah.
You want the here? You want these? Look at that.
Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. I just remembered we had cornbread in.
See, I made you forget like I was a bad influence on you. That is beautiful. Look at that.
That is gorgeous.
Oh. Oh God, look how well that releases.
Yeah.
Because your
Perfect.
pans are so
'Cause
well
you-
cared for.
And didn't
So
skimp
we
on the
want to
butter.
sort of, yeah, the secret to not having your cornbread stick is a good pan and a lot of fat.
Look at that. Yep.
Ooh.
And one of the reasons I decided to do cornbread with this recipe is because often, you want cornbread to sop up butter, use it to
Yeah.
a mediator with your food. And so I think it'd go really great with the cabbage. How we doing over there?
How toasty do you want this?
One of these mine.
As soon as it starts smelling,
Probably.
I'm a little bit
Yeah.
confused.
That works
good
good.
is where I like to pull it off.
So that's
Yeah.
when I'm toasting things. I usually try to go by smell.
Yeah.
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 As soon as you start
As soon as
smelling
it's very
it,
fragrant,
that's probably
take it
it.
off.
And the seeds sometimes will start popping in jumping around in the
yeah,
pan.
the oils from the pecans will start releasing. Yeah, y'all smell that?
Hold that up to the camera so they can smell it.
Oh, you want to smell it?
Here, It's so good.
We're just going to throw this into the food processor.
Now, when I read mine, because I'd never made it before and I'd never
Yeah.
been served it before, and I was afraid to use the food processor. So I pounded mine in my mocha latte,
I like to do
which
that
took
better.
a long time.
Yeah.
I had to do it in little bitty batches.
But this Roku has a pulser. So we just,
Oh, I put a shit ton of salt in mine too. That's what else I put in mine. Do you salt yours?
I don't.
You don't.
Because I want to put miso
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's gonna
sauce
be very
over
salty.
here, and I don't want to.
So perfect example of really customizing your blend to what you're going to do with
You
it.
can always add salt later.
You know, I say that and I believe it. And I used to fight with my sister Annie about it. And then I read, what's that book? Samin Nosrat, Salt, Fat.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And there was a bunch of stuff about like salting pasta water that I know that Annie was right all these years,
Oh my gosh. You smell that?
It smells so good. The
Smell
fennel
this,
and the
Johnny.
cumin, that's good.
I'm going to go just a hair more.
And all the things that you could put that on, I love it.
Everything. Instead of using everything Bagel.
Seasoning, yeah.
right here.
Ooh, I like that. I really like it on beans, on any kind of beans.
Ooh.
Like, like I had it on some navy beans, I think. It was just
There we go.
perfect.
All right.
Okay, what else we got?
So,
Cabbage is probably ready to.
where we at on time?
We don't need to worry about time.
We're about 5 till
We
8, but
exist outside of time.
we've got time. So,
Let's just check. I mean, it
Yeah.
probably is, and I can't remember how long it's been in there.
So,
15 or 20
yeah, it has. So, what are you looking for here? Are you looking for
Softness. I do want
You want it
the
to be
cabbage to
pretty-
have wilted a little bit.
pretty silky and soft, like
Yeah.
really tender?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I want to go find those hot pads again.
Oh, I got one right here.
Okay, here's the other one. Here's the other one if you
I
want.
can do it.
Okay. I'm gonna just back off. So when you do this in the home kitchen,
Yeah,
what kind of pot do you use?
rondo.
Just like this.
This is what I call a rondo. And I feel like you can get a lot of surface space. Like gumbos are great for that. We got a utensil over there here.
A poke with?
I got a tongue.
A poking utensil?
Yeah, it's still a little bit,
yeah, I'd probably put that back.
yeah,
Those chunks were a little big.
yeah.
Oh, it looks so good though.
Look, yeah, you see that color though?
Look
Oh
at
my
that.
gosh.
So once it's braising, you don't care as much if it kind of falls
I
apart,
do a
right?
little bit,
Ideally, you want it to stay.
yeah. But
Fairly together.
I mean, just really for prettiness.
Yeah.
For plating, since I'm a chef, I do like you were talking about.
Yeah. So
But-
like these two pieces here are perfect like we want.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Some of this is kind of close to being done. Let's try it here. See if we have a little piece. Nope. What's your fingers? Yep.
I mean, that's how I like mine.
All right. Let's go for it.
You know, this is the thing, is that I really feel like I kind of like my cabbage to have a little give. This is going to be a very forgiving dish to make.
Yes, very forgiving, and honestly, that's how I
Very
like to
beautiful.
cook. You get
So-
some of that bacon
And then
fat.
it's all that nastiness in the bottom of the pot that is
Pan
looking.
sludge, my favorite
Yep.
thing. So, Kristen, as a professional chef,
Yep.
how does that change the way that you want to cook or here, you'd probably rather have this, at home? Like, does Melissa cook a lot?
She does cook. She thinks that I cook too big of batches of things. She's like, I want this, but I only want this much, not this much. And sometimes it's hard to just make a
Because you're
little.
used to it, yeah. Sure. Do
But
you
yeah.
feel any kind of pressure when you're cooking outside of the kitchen, outside of the
I do.
restaurant?
It doesn't matter who I'm cooking for.
Like, I was real glad I wasn't cooking anything tonight. Jonathan probably wouldn't have been nervous at all because he's an amazing cook, but
I would have been pretty nervous, but
What do you mean, tonight?
tonight, well, maybe.
No.
yes.
We've cooked together,
together.
Dozens of times.
Still,
So,
you know,
At your
I
home.
Yeah.
think one of the things that makes the Wrigley so special is that it really brings those values of being around a table and sharing food that is just very real and yet still beautifully. I mean, by saying this food's very real, that doesn't mean that it's uncomplicated
Yeah,
or,
no.
I mean, you have some amazing things on the menu and you change the menu and you're really aware of what's in season and of trying to source locally when you can. And I feel like a lot of the ethos that you bring into that kitchen, though, is really based out of that domesticity that women have been tied to for all these years in a really good way, you know?
I think I cook no matter if it's for myself, for my wife, my family, my community, my customers. This has been with me since I was 10, making scrambled eggs. I want to cook something where the person that eats it feels how much I care for them.
Oh, that made me tear up.
And I think I was just born that way.
That's really
And
beautiful.
sometimes I can obsess too much about it, like someone can obsess about writing a card. I just like to do it the slow way. I want every element to have intention. And it's really hard to run a restaurant that way. And to make it profitable. But I think that's part of our success is I do feel like people feel that.
I feel it.
They
when I
feel
get
it.
there. You guys feel it?
I
when you
feel it
eat
every
there?
time.
I think
Every
that's
time.
something I try to teach my young chefs is slow down.
Yeah.
Don't get sloppy. Every step is an expression of love. And it's a very fun, creative way of showing love.
Let's
So
love
what are we
on
doing
some
with
sauce.
that stuff right there?
So this
Let's
is
love
some
on
pretty
that
good
pond.
stuff. Let's fix our sauce a little bit more.
Okay, so you've got, this is just the chicken broth and the pan sludge,
Yeah.
more formally known as fond, F-O-N-D.
Yes.
Term I'm also pretty
or
sure I
all
learned
the-
from Jonathan Piercy.
Do we have a lighter? Does anyone have a lighter? We're gonna put a little bit of
Do it the old-fashioned way.
orange
Orange Jameson whiskey.
Jameson because
Which I think is gonna be
it's almost
nice.
St. Patrick's Day.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love
And
it.
I want a little bit of an orange essence. So a little bit of that.
So what do you mean when you say do it the old-fashioned way, Jonathan?
He wants me to tip the pan.
Tip the
up.
man up. That's what I did last week.
On
last
purpose?
month. Yeah, I did it last time
Yo,
on
with the
purpose.
flambe you did. That
Yeah, I
was
did, and I
beautiful.
almost burned that.
I would burn the
almost
kitchen
destroyed that
down.
nice camera.
Really,
I don't know how much you put in there. It may take
not a
a bit.
whole lot.
minute to get
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa, I'm sure, is trying to find a lighter right now because she doesn't want to burn down. Oh, there we go.
Look at that.
I would hate to burn down the historic Hyman Settlement School. so soon on the heels of the tragic.
Yeah, I didn't put enough
I think
in
you just
there.
don't have quite enough in there to
Yeah.
claim.
And that's
You want
fine.
more?
It'll burn off. It's
Yeah,
probably
it'll
already
burn.
burned off.
It'll be fine.
So when we flambe
And
stuff, is that
miso.
why we do it, to burn off the alcohol?
Yes.
I swear to
You
God, I
don't
never knew
want-
that.
You don't
I
want
thought it was
that.
Also,
pretty.
it's to look really badass.
I thought it was just to look badass.
Yeah.
Now this is some beautiful miso that you have gotten from Sensoy, which is
Yes.
a really
Mhm.
nice
Thank you.
kind of local
Yep.
business in Cincinnati. They do small batch soy sauce,
I've had-
miso, and a great chili
Their chili
crisp.
crisp is fantastic.
Right,
Yeah.
I love it.
And I didn't know they had the chili crisp.
so good.
It's probably one of my favorite condiments
I
right now.
haven't had their miso. I love miso butter
Where do
on
you
vegetables.
get it? I
I order it off
through
the internet.
You do? Okay.
I learned about it from
Our
former
Trisha,
co-host
yeah.
and friend of the show, Trisha Watts. So,
So-
you've got a big spoonful of miso.
Yeah, I'm looking at my cabbage right now. I'm going to do a little bit more because this is where our salt's coming from.
I love miso because it's so salty and I
And
love
Salt and umami
The
bomb.
cool thing about this kind of miso, it's very bright. It's small batched. So to me, it doesn't taste anything like what you're getting in the store.
One of my favorite things there is just if I'm roasting broccoli, I just throw a little miso on that and blend it up with the oil before you
Okay.
toss it on the broccoli.
Yeah, I like to put it
Yes.
with butter and put it on any
Yeah.
vegetable.
Can I get
And
a
then-
little bit of water in that mason jar?
Got you.
So you're scraping a little bit, get some of that
Yeah.
pan
Pulling it
nastiness up.
Yeah. Actually, I think I got a whisk over here, don't I?
Probably.
Yes, it's right up against the.
Is this enough?
Whisk works. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. There we go. Now we're getting the good stuff up.
I have a certain wooden spoon that's flat on the bottom that I like to use to. I love a good pan sauce that's made with the fond, or
Incredibly
as I called
easy
it
thing to
before
learn to do.
Before Jonathan Piercy taught me what it's called, the pan sludge, because it's just got such a good flavor and it is really easy. And I'm sure I've said this probably more than once on this show, but like when my kids were little, they were, they wanted to eat kind of plain food. They were kids. And we would usually have some kind of a protein, some kind of a vegetable, some kind of a grain. The grain might be couscous, might be rice, might be potatoes, whatever anything was. To make it palatable to us and something that we wanted to eat, we would always make pan sauces. Any different kind, sometimes butter and caper and lemon,
to
or
be a
something with a little
tablespoon.
cream. It's a really good way to jazz
Need the
up.
grandma
She's going to put that,
Put that
I think,
on
on the top.
on the
right?
top.
So you just put some sorghum in there.
Yep, I just added sorghum
So
because
we've got sorghum, miso,
Whiskey.
the Jameson.
the Jameson.
Yeah.
That
And
smells
then
good.
we're going to emulsify it with a little bit of butter.
Oh yeah, more butter,
We do have some bacon fat in here, of course.
of course, but there's no such thing as too much delicious animal fat.
Have
Be
a
it bacon, be it butter,
have a
be it
tasting
lard. Bring it
spoon.
on.
Over there, let's
Okay,
taste
ideas
it.
for future shows: a cocktail show, an animal fat show. I mean, I already kind of blew my wad
You've done. Yeah, I feel
with
like
the
we.
beef tallow candle, but I think we could do it.
I think we could pull it off.
I think we could pull it
I
off.
feel like we pull it off most months.
Ooh, yeah. Give me your palm. This is how I taste things, right there. Right in your
Oh my
palm.
God! Oh,
Yummy.
that is so good.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Oh, damn.
So you get sorghum.
Yeah.
You get a
I
little
get
bit
sorghum.
of
I get a
sorghum.
little touch of the orange. From
Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
from the
first thing I get
bourbon.
is the bacon and just the
Yeah.
brownness of
Yes.
it. Just that
yes.
that Maillard reaction is
A
happening.
little bit
there.
of this bacon or
Butter.
butter.
That's amazing.
I'll bring it all together here.
And so you're putting the butter in at the end just to sort of make it.
Just to
Thicker.
rich it up.
Yeah, rich it up. It brings a little bit of fat and acid and sugar, kind of emulsifies into a creamier sauce
I love that.
naturally. So you see it happening. You can kind of
Now,
see
when
it
I
happening right
read
now.
things that chefs write, is this what they call mounting a dish with
Yeah,
butter?
that's exactly what.
Especially if you add some flour to the
that
butter.
sounds so aggressive.
If you add some flour to the butter, that's the monte au beurre, is the snooty French chefs would say.
And I love that trick of having some like kneaded butter with.
I could use
Oh,
a
God.
little more sorghum though. What do y'all think?
I think, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. There.
I kind of want it to be saltier, but I can always salt my own.
We can have more miso. Let's have more miso.
It's a little warm.
See, and you thought you had too much.
I know, right? Throw some in. Here you go.
This is going to be delicious across that. Oh my word.
All right.
Are we ready?
Finish that butter in.
Let's do it.
A little bit. Just finish that off.
Might as well.
Might as well, right? All right.
I don't think I've ever tasted anything and said, this has a touch too much butter.
It's great except for all the butter.
Occasionally cookies will spread too much, you get greasy, and that's too much butter. So
Yeah, but that's a...
Another thing I would probably do if I was playing this at the Wrigley is
Yeah.
I would put ricotta
Ooh.
on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Like in the bottom of the platter?
The pan.
So
yeah.
you'd have ricotta and then cabbage on top of it,
Yeah.
and then this, and then dukkha.
So I would
And
have
bacon.
a small plate, a smear of ricotta, one of these nice wedges. I'd spoon some of this over top of it, dukkha.
And I would
So-
order that.
That sounds amazing. Yes.
And then I'd probably order another one.
Oh my gosh.
And see, we put the butter in this,
Oh, that smells.
the sorghum. So in
Look
Appalachia,
at
what do
that.
we eat with our cornbread? Sorghum and butter.
Yeah.
Yep.
We add a little miso.
Oh my word. Oh,
I think my answer to that
And
question
then
is gonna
you
be
want to grab the dukkha?
I do, but I can't figure
Still
it out.
very hot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ah,
Gotta have a little pork in there.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
Look
So here
at
you've
this.
taken something like cabbage. I mean, you've taken cabbage and you've made it look absolutely
It's
delicious.
an entree.
Yeah. You've made it into a main
Yeah.
dish.
Good heavens.
Little-
Can we get our tasting panel to join us behind the... Please?
There you go.
That is amazing.
That looks pretty
Where's those
spectacular.
tongs?
Tongs.
Okay, step on up, tasting panel. So we're really honored to have with us tonight. Here you go.
Thank you.
Melissa with Sedek. Are you still with Sedek?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Appalachian treasure and owner of Red Spotted Newt. Mandy Fugit Sheffel. Oh, I didn't even give you a cornbread stick, girl.
Yeah, hook me up
Get
with
you
one
one.
of those.
Get you some corn
What do you
pone.
think?
Jonathan, make with the cornbread.
Yeah.
Grab. Yes,
sticker of-
thank you. Beautiful.
Get some. We need a spoon under there to make sure you got some sauce.
Okay.
Dip that cornbread in.
Oh yeah. There was a big spoon.
Here's a little one.
Okay. That'll work.
All right, let's get some of that sauce
Yeah.
on there.
Ooh, and look, this bacon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mandy, go ahead. You need a little more juice there.
Juice me. All right, give me a bite and tell me what I
Here,
did,
Jonathan.
right and wrong.
All right. Break it down, right?
Break it down.
Okay. Here we go.
Now it's making me nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really good. Oh yeah. There's kind of like a smoky, tangy vibe underneath it. I would not ever think to put with cabbage.
That's the best thing about cabbage. It's kind of
It's a blank canvas.
Yeah.
It's like a sleeper in veggie. You can really work with it.
And you can make it an
I'm
entree.
snagging the special
Yeah.
crispy cornbread, but I'm going to share it with Mandy because she's an Appalachian treasure. Oh, you already have a piece. I'll take some. Okay, and I'm going to skip the
Fat
formalities,
Mandy, pass
and
me a
I'm
plate
going
of
to.
this.
Yeah, I got it for you.
What am I passing you? Oh, plate. Oh my God,
Flavor bomb, yeah?
this is amazing.
Oh, it's nice to soak the cornbread down in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Really get in there.
I'd go all the way there, yeah.
And then when she asks what
And if you want to take it up just one more notch,
Yeah.
which is my
Oh,
favorite
I
condiment,
do.
we got
From Grandma.
Grandma
Yes.
chili crisp here.
Yes.
A condiment introduced to me by one Kristin Smith.
This is like, we can't keep this in our house.
And really, it looks a lot spicier than it is, but it's not. It's just like this nice salty. Want some?
Please.
Oh, that did it. All right.
Want some?
I'm going to start singing hymns any minute.
Yeah.
This is so good.
Almost on my
Oh.
Yep.
Mm.
Well, as you can tell by all the satisfied moans, I think this is a big success. Tonight's show. Kristin, we cannot say just how amazing it is to just
Thank you for what you
to be able to cook with you
for
anytime.
what you do for us, for what
Anytime,
you do for
anywhere.
the region, for what you do with food in this country, in this world, for what you do for women.
Thank you,
We cannot
friend.
thank you enough.
The Wrigley in Corbin, Kentucky. Go eat there at your earliest convenience, and then tune in for us next month here at What's Cooking Now. Again, thanks to the Kentucky Humanities Council, thanks to our crew, thanks to our tasting panel, thanks to everybody around here. Thanks to all of you for tuning in and for commenting and for saying nice things about us. And until next time, remember,
Food is love.
and love is delicious. Take care,
Love
y'all.
What's Cooking Now is a production of Hyman Settlement School, with funding provided by the Kentucky Humanities Council. Hyman Settlement School is committed to cultivating and growing the local food system and the unique culinary and agricultural traditions of Central Appalachia through our foodways programs. For more information on our work, visit us at www.hyman.org and be sure to tune in to What's Cooking Now on the first Thursday of each month to see what's cooking.